What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here, ladies and gentlemen. Winter storm warnings are being issued as we're looking at a potentially big winter storm moving through the Great Plains and upper Midwest right here. We have parts of Wisconsin, parts of Minnesota, most of South Dakota, parts of Nebraska, most of Wyoming, too, in winter storm alerts as well. We have winter storm warnings in Wyoming, South Dakota, and Nebraska related to this system. We have watches from Nebraska all the way to Wisconsin. And we have winter weather advisories just north and south of the winter storm warnings or watches right here. So that's basically what we're looking at, guys. Let's go ahead and pull up some of these winter storm warnings just to give you a quick update on them. This is the first one. This is for parts of Wyoming, 2 to 4 feet of snow in the mountains, with local accumulations up to 5 feet in the higher peaks for the Sierra Madre and the Snowy Mountain ranges right here. So yeah, 6 to 12 inches of snow in the lower elevations, with 18 to 24 possible over mountaintops and higher ridges for Carbon County in Wyoming and the surrounding area right there. For parts of Nebraska, the Nebraska Panhandle, this is what we're looking at right here. Let's go ahead and show you this. These all go in effect at 5 p.m. today. These go in effect at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, I believe. 6 to 12 inches of snow expected that we're looking at right there. For parts of South Dakota, it's a bit more interesting the way we're looking at this real quickly. Heavy snow expected, 4 to 11 inches of snow. That's a pretty large difference right there, but that's likely because that's where the Black Hills is, with the highest amounts in the eastern slope of the southern Black Hills to the adjacent plains to the east, which is the southern Black Hills, the Custer County Plains, and the foothills right there in South Dakota. This goes in effect from 8 p.m. this evening until 5 a.m. on Tuesday. So this is definitely something to keep an eye on. We're going to look at some of the winter storm watches now. We're going to first start at Sioux Falls, South Dakota right there. We're going to go ahead and look at the winter storm watch right there. Heavy mixed precipitation possible. Total snow accumulations of 1 to 3 inches and ice accumulations of 1/10 to 4/10 of an inch are possible. Winds could gust as high as 35 miles per hour. If we're looking at 4/10 of an inch of ice, you can't drive on that ice right there. If you're going 65 mile per hour on a highway and you hit ice and you try to hit the brakes, you are still going to go at 65 miles per hour. Ice literally has no friction, so something to keep in mind as you are driving. Just stay off the roads if you can while the storm is moving through, especially if you're prone to ice and everything like that. Next place we're going to go to is Minneapolis. They have a winter storm watch issued right there. Heavy mixed precipitation possible. Total snow accumulations of 6 to 11 inches and ice accumulations up to 1/10 of an inch are possible. Winds could gust as high as 35 miles per hour, so we could potentially see some blowing snow as well. And this is for portions of central, south central, southwest, and west central Minnesota right there from Monday afternoon through Tuesday afternoon. Impacts. Travel could be very difficult. Heavy icing could cause downed tree branches and power lines. My advice for everyone is just stay off the roads until the storm passes if you can. I know it's the beginning of the week and people are going to work and everything like that. If you're an employer and you're watching this and you're in the Minneapolis area, once the winter storm warning goes into effect, I would tell people if they can to work from home or if they can't, take the day off, so that way they can stay off the roads. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move up to the winter storm watch up here in Duluth. Once again, mixed precipitation possible. Snow accumulations of 5 to 10 inches and ice accumulations around 1/10 of an inch possible for the Duluth area, as well as parts of Wisconsin over here, northwest Wisconsin. So definitely a system to keep an eye on. What this system also is going to do, it's also going to cause a severe threat in parts of the Deep South, including Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. We have an enhanced risk of severe weather issued for parts of those areas right there. A slight risk from the Boot Heel down to the Gulf Coast. A marginal risk just outside of St. Louis, parts including Kansas City, all the way down to the Gulf Coast once again. The big driver of this is going to be the tornado and wind risk right here. Tornado risk is 10% with the hatched area, which means we have a 10% probability of EF2 or greater tornadoes happening within 25 miles of a point. And we have a 30% risk for winds right there. Definitely something to keep an eye on as time continues to go on. We're not going to dwell too much on the severe threat, although this is going to be a potentially significant severe weather outbreak that is associated with this mid-latitude cyclone. It's the main show is going to be all the snow that's going to be moving through. So definitely something to keep an eye on. We're going to go ahead and show you the mile runs first of the snow accumulations, and then the Cape down in the south to see what's going on. Yes, we're consolidating this video as this is both part of one system, so this is maybe a little bit longer than usual, so I do apologize for that, but hey, weather cannot wait, and it's all worth it. So let's go ahead and show you first the wrap model we have. This is the latest wrap model from 9 o'clock this morning. And the wrap model has us moving further to the south. It has Minneapolis just getting about an inch or so of snow right there. If we go ahead and take a look at that precipitation type right there, it virtually misses, basically the heavy part misses pretty much Minneapolis as this moves through. So definitely something to keep an eye on right there. We're looking at potentially 15 inches of snow parts of southern Minnesota. We're looking at potentially 2 feet of snow for parts of Nebraska, although I do think this is overestimating it a little bit. I think the most we could see in these areas is around 18 inches of snow. The HER model is also interesting. It's not all the way out yet, but the ones we have so far are depicting 28 inches of snow in parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, those areas. Once again, I think it's overdoing it a little bit. I think 18 inches, once again, is going to be that cap. The North American model, however, it's being it's actually being quite aggressive once again. They're having some areas getting close to 3 feet of snow. Once again, I don't entirely buy this. I think it's going to be a significant amount of snow, especially in the Minneapolis area. I think this seems about accurate, 10 to 12 inches of snow, with all things considered. Although any snow less than 2 feet of snow for parts of Minnesota is pretty much light snow because they know how to deal with this. It's still going to cause impacts no matter what, but at least the folks in Minnesota are more prepared for this. So, yeah, parts of Wyoming, you can see where those snow totals jump up because those are where the mountains are. But yeah, the Great Plains looking at a good amount of snow according to the NAM. The European run is also quite interesting we have right here. It's having around 9 to 10 inches of snow. I believe that's accurate. It's going a little overboard in the Great Plains, especially around Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I think they could definitely see a foot of snow. That's not out of the question for sure. I think 2 feet is a little outlandish, but hey, time will tell. And the GFS has been kind of this narrow smidge right there, and it's been kind of staying stable for the last little bit. It's having it around 2 feet of snow in parts of South Dakota. The GFS seems the most reasonable out of all of these when it comes to snow totals. The current track of it, we're not entirely sure. It's still going to blanket parts of the Great Plains and parts of the upper Midwest no matter what, but we're looking at around a foot of snow for Minneapolis, and for parts of northwest Wisconsin, we're looking at 10 to 12 inches of snow right there. Definitely something to keep an eye on as time continues to go on. Next thing we're going to go ahead and take a look at is that Cape value and we're going to go ahead and pull up the North American model for the Cape. This is convective right here. And this is for what's going on. The NAM actually is seeing values around 2,000 joules per kilogram of Cape, and that's just before it reached that enhanced risk area. So definitely, if you add that to wind shear, that's going to be a significant tornado threat for parts of the Deep South. So definitely something to keep an eye on as time continues to progress. And this is 9 o'clock at night on tomorrow, so something to keep an eye on. For sure. Let's go ahead and take a look at the European. Actually, the Euro doesn't have Cape. My apologies. The convective, the GFS does. And the GFS is actually being a bit more conservative with it. We're looking at around 1,000 joules per kilogram. 1,000 to 1,500 joules per kilogram right there with that. The HER model, we're going to go ahead and show you that. The HER is actually being a bit aggressive for parts of Texas right here. We're looking at over 2,000 joules per kilogram. And this is basically at midnight on the third right here. So this is the HER. The wrap is being a little less aggressive than the HER, but still a good amount of Cape for the Deep South, around 1,000 joules per kilogram. It doesn't take as much Cape to cause a significant severe weather event in the Deep South as it does in the Midwest, due to a factor of things. First of all, the cap, which is what balances out the Cape, is much less on average than it is in the Great Plains and the Deep South. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason is that there's going to be more shear in the area at the time. So definitely something to pay attention to as we move through the new year. But with that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the first video of 2023. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out, helps me make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, have a wonderful day.